Hello all, this is Ed Y. You are listening to or watching the Bible reading series. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't watched the very first episode, please do so. There is a disclaimer, at least watch for that. But moving forward to the Lord's Prayer initially, Matthew 6:9 through 13, King James Version. After this manner, therefore, pray ye. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Genesis 27, King James Version. Jacob's deception. And it came to pass that when Yitzhak was old, and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau his eldest son, and he said unto him, My son. And he said unto him, Behold, here am I. And he said, Behold, now I am old, I know not the day of my death. Now therefore take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver, and thy bow, and go out to the field, and take me some venison. Make me savory meat, such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless thee before I die. Rebekah heard when Yitzhak spake to Esau his son, and Esau went to the field to hunt for venison and to bring it. Rebekah spake unto Jacob her son, saying, Behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau thy brother, saying, Bring me venison and make me savory meat, that I may eat and bless thee before the Lord, before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command thee. Go now to the flock, and fetch me from thence 2 good kids of the goats, and I'll make them savory meat for thy father, such as he loveth. And thou shalt bring it to thy father, and that he may eat, that he may bless thee before his death. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Behold, Esau, my brother, is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father, peradventure, will feel me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. And his mother said unto him, Upon me be thy curse, my son, only obey my voice, and go fetch me them. And he went, and fetched, and brought them to his mother. And his mother made savory meat, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands, and upon the smooth of his neck. She gave the savory meat and the bread, which she had prepared, into the hand of her son Jacob. And he came unto his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here am I. Who art thou, my son? And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thou soul may bless me. Yitzhak said unto his son, How is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, Because the Lord thy God brought it to me. And Yitzhak said unto Jacob, Come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. And Jacob went near unto Yitzhak his father, and he felt him, and said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy as his brother Esau's hands. And so he blessed him. And he said, Art thou my very son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat. And he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Yitzhak said unto him, Come near now, and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, See, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field, which the Lord hath blessed. Therefore God give thee of the dew of earth, or dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, nations bow down to thee, be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be every one that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. The stolen blessing. It came to pass, as soon as Yitzhak had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Yitzhak his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also made a savory meat, and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, Let my father arise, and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Yitzhak his father said unto him, Who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn, Esau. And Yitzhak trembled very exceedingly, and said, Who? Where is he that hath taken venison, and brought it to me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him. yea, and he shall be blessed. And when Esav heard the words of his father, he cried with great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing. And he said, Is not he rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Yitzhak answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah, and she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said unto him, Behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doth comfort himself, purposing to kill thee. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, and arise, flee thou to Laban my brother, to Haran, and tarry with him a few days until thy brother's fury turn away. Until thy brother's anger turn away from thee, and he forget that which thou hast done to him. Then I will send and fetch thee from thence. Why should I be depraved also of you both in one day? And Rebekah said to Yitzhak, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Keth. If Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Keth, such as these, which are the daughters of the land, what good shall my life do me? That ends the reading portion. Quite a bit. In fact, there is quite a bit to capture even in the commentary. So I'm going to try to make this one short, but I doubt it will be. Here we have the deception of Jacob, spurred by his mom, which, if you watch the chapter before this, I had concerns about the way that it was kind of presenting the follow-up and exactly why Yitzhak and Rebekah are displeased with their son Esau. And I stated that it was something along the lines of him choosing to marry 2 Hittite women, which you see at the very end of this. And at the very end, Rebekah essentially says that I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Keth. If Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Keth, which, if I'm not mistaken, it's actually the Hittites here at the end in the Septuagint. Oh no, it does say Keth. I misspoke, but they are Hittite women, and for me, I do believe that is the biggest concern for them. The one is Judith, and the other one is Bashemeth. Both of them Hittites. Here at the end of 26. So, anyways, Jacob is encouraged by his mom to deceive his dad, who is blind. He does so by killing 2 kids. Not that. That sounds wrong. That would. Yet, 2 lambs is the proper. We don't use that vernacular anymore. 2 goats. Excuse me, goats. They're right. It's right here in front of me. And then one apparently is for a sacrifice, and the other one is for the food that is given to his father. But Jacob goes in prior to Esau and claims the blessing. This blessing is stated as, Therefore God give thee of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. Which, when we see what the blessing is for Esau, it is reversed. Now, yes, here it is. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. So it's reversed. It was, may God provide you the dew of heaven, and then the fatness of the earth. And then it says, By thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. The phrasing in that is a little bit different than in the Masoretic than the Septuagint. So we'll read that right now. For his father Isaac answered and said to him, Behold, your dwelling place shall be the fat places of the earth, and of the dew of the heaven from above. And you shall live by your sword, and you shall serve your brother, and it will be when you grieve that you will break his yoke off your neck. Yeah, I think that makes more. It's way more understandable. I mean, this is the King James variant, so it is quite tongue-tying when it comes to all the syllables and words. However, we see both of them, and there's a great distraughtness between Yitzhak and Esav, and at one point, he's so distraught that he hates his brother. And where do we see that story but chapter 4, way back? And it leads to this concept at the end that he will deal with his brother. Well, instead of losing both of her sons, because, and within the commentary we see that Esav would actually go under trial under Shem for his actions, he would probably be, removed of as well. So, but at the end here, we see this one last plight of the mother, and that is whom Jacob will marry, the daughters of Keth, which Esav has already done. So, let's get to the commentary. Hopefully that kind of summed up everything concisely. It's quite a lot. So it kicks off with eyes were too dim because of the smoke of these wives of Esav who would burn incense to the idols. Another explanation, when Isaac was bound on the altar and his father was about to slaughter him, the heavens opened up and the ministering angels saw and wept, and their tears fell upon Isaac's eyes. As a result, his eyes became dim. A third explanation, to enable Jacob to take the blessings. Two of them, it almost seems like a multiple choice test here. Two of them seem quite outlandish in my opinion, whereas the last one seems the most reasonable. So I'm going to probably lean towards the reasonableness of just his eyes became dim in years because God was planning something. This Rabbah 65. This whole chapter actually requires two Rabbah, 65, 66, and 67, so it was a lot of reading on the back end of this one. But anyways, and he said, Behold, now I have grown old. Moving forward, I do not know the day of my death. So this was an interesting one for me that I came across. So it was apparent from Noah to his children all the way down to Isaac here, that when they started coming closer and closer to their parents' age, they would assume that they would die younger. If a person reaches the age of the death of his parents, he should worry 5 years beforehand and 5 years afterwards. And Isaac was 123 years old, which he said, perhaps I'll reach the age of death of my mom, and she died at 127, and I am thus within 5 years of that age. So he's what is that, 22 or 122, 122. So he's coming up on that age. So the reason why this is happening is because he witnessed his parents and their parents and the parents before them within 5 years. I'm trying to remember all the dates or how many years each one lived, but it's not coming to me, so I'll just move on from that. Not a significant thing, just an interesting note. So now sharpen your implements, your sword, and take your bow, and go forth to the field and hunt game for me. Your sword, which is usually hung, so it's speaking the word here actually could mean knife or tool. So now sharpen, an expression of sharpening, as we learned in the Mishnah. We may not sharpen a knife on a whetstone, but we may sharpen it against one another, which is steel sharpening steel concept there. Yitzhak said, sharpen your knife and slaughter properly, lest you feed me Navila, an animal not slaughtered according to ritual law. So he's ensuring that his son obeys the written law there, and hunt for me from ownerless game and not from stolen animals. There's an implication here that is read into this that it may be something to do with the words that are here, but I constantly get this sense where there's like a extra sense of wickedness associated to Esau that isn't stated here, and one of them is that it's assumed that by him saying hunt game for me, that he's telling him stay away from stolen animals. Which, if I move forward and I read about what Jacob does with the goats, I could almost do the same thing and read into it that his mom told him to go and steal the goats. So I have a bit of a contention there with the concept. But Rebecca overheard when Yitzhak spoke to Esav, his son, and Esav went to the field to hunt game to bring it. What is the meaning of to bring? If he would not find game, he intended to bring meat from stolen animals. So here once again, that implication is still there. I think this is just more literal, in my opinion, but I might be missing something. So bring me game and make me tasty foods, and I will eat, and I will bless you before the Lord before my death. Before the Lord with his consent, that he will approve of what I do. So Yitzhak here is wanting just to ensure that everything is done in accordance with appropriate law in front of God. Go now to the flock and so this is, we're switching. We're switching to Rebecca telling Jacob to go and get this. So I guess returning back to what I just said, I will bless you before the Lord before my death. This is actually Rebecca talking to Jacob about her intent, that she wants him blessed over Esav. If I want to be real practical about this, I'm just returning back to the fact that she is not happy about who he married. It just seems very practical to me. I can see that in even current times, not to assume that what we do currently is what they did before. But she's now saying, go now to the flock and take for me from their two choice kids. So here, Yitzhak is saying to Esav, go and get game for me, do not steal. And I could read, and they're saying that he was intending to steal, but here I could almost make the same argument and say that Rebecca is telling Jacob to steal these kids. However, I'm not going to jump to that conclusion. But there it is. That is a a thought in there. I will make them tasty foods for your father as he likes. 2 choice kids. Now, did Yitzhak's menu consist of 2 kids? But the explanation is that he sacrificed one as a Hashel offering, and one he made into tasty food. So one is, like I said, the two goats. One is going to be for an offering, and one is going to be for an offering to Yitzhak, as he likes. So for the taste of a kid is like the taste of a deer. That's something that has always confounded me, that Yitzhak is eating a stew or a meal made from goats or lamb rather than venison, which is what he requested for, and he doesn't notice this. This is also an odd thing, but we do know that as individuals get older, their taste buds decline. So that would be a practical reason for why he didn't pick up on this, in my opinion. And Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, "Behold, my brother Esav is a hairy man, where I am smooth." So now he's coming to the conclusion, I am not a hairy person. And there is a lot of writing on how there's cleanliness involved, and how Esav was terrible man because he was hairy, but Jacob was not, and that was because, if he came into the Holy of Holies, he would have been able to because he was clean. There are tons of stuff on that, but I think it's just the fact that he realizes to deceive his father, he needs to change that. Perhaps my father will touch me, as he continues, and I will appear to him as a deceiver. See? And I will bring upon myself a curse and not a blessing. This moves, curse those who curse you and bless those who bless you. And I think it's either Hebrews or Numbers. It will show it here later on. But that is a common theme in this. And his mother said to him, on me is your curse, my son. Only hearken to my voice and go take them for me. Had a little bit of my my accent come out there with the on. Rebekah took the garments of Esav, her elder son, which were with her in the house, and she dressed Jacob, her younger son. This costly means the clean ones, and another explanation is that he had coveted from Nimrod. If you go back and if you followed all the way up to this point, you've probably heard the concept that there was this magical cloak that allows a person to disappear and hunt game, which is what this is referencing to. I'm just going with either it's clean or they were, precious, costly garments that he had, which were in her house. Now, this was a key feature that I was like, oh, this is a nice call out, which were with her in the house. But he, Esav, had many wives. He had 2 at the moment that we know of, with whom to entrust his garments, and yet he entrusted them his garments with his mother. He was well aware of their deeds, and he was suspicious of them. That is possible. However, there's also another possibility, is if my hypothesis that his mom is mad about the 2 wives that he married, she may be trying to hold on to some things and her effects. So this may have been a thing that she held back from the wives. It's possible. I don't have any delineating notes in this that would tell me that is true, but it is a potential. I just thought it was a very interesting fact that it would say that his clothes were in her place when he does have 2 wives that we know of at the moment. And Jacob said to his father, "I am Esav, your firstborn." So here, he is directly telling a lie. "I have done as you have spoken to me." Once again, another lie. "Please rise, sit down, and eat of my game, so that your soul will bless me. I am Esav, your firstborn." He meant, I am the one who is bringing you food, and Esav is your firstborn. So they're trying to, maybe I'm wrong about this, but this is trying to clear Jacob of lying, is my estimation, the best way I can understand this. "I have done many things as you have spoken to me." So I have done, they're trying to say, what I meant was, sit down, an expression of sitting around the table at a meal. Therefore, is rendered this by onkelos. In the readings, though, that I did before this, prior to this, there was one interesting comment that was made about how Jacob spoke differently than Esav, not just by the way he sounded, but he said, "Please rise and sit down and eat." Whereas if you just came in, which Esav would have done, was sit down and eat. So very direct with his dad, and that would have been considered a little disrespectful. It may say that in future, but I'll just try to gloss over that. And Yitzhak said to Jacob, "Please come closer so that I may feel you, my son, whether you are really my son, Esav, or not. Please come closer so that I may feel you." Yitzhak said to himself, "Esav does not usually mention the name of heaven with frequency, but this one said, because the Lord your God prepared it." And this is another concern here, in my opinion. You just claimed that God prepared this thing in deception, which in my perspective is not a great way to put this. Take it or leave it. Maybe it's saying it in a different form, that yes, God had this planned out and so on and so forth. But I reading this, if I want to try to be as pragmatic as possible, Yitzhak said to his son, "How is it that you have found it so quickly, my son?" And he said, this is Jacob's response, "Because the Lord your God prepared it for me." Which is, this whole thing is covered in deception. So I think that this is a very it's a tell to Yitzhak that this is not how Esau would have said things, but it's also I guess disrespectful in my humblest opinion. So Jacob drew near to Yitzhak his father, and he felt him, and he said, "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esav." The voice of Jacob, who speaks entreatingly, "Please rise," but Esav spoke harshly, "Let my father rise." We kind of touched on that. And he said, "Are you indeed my son, Esav?" And he said, "I am." Once again, it's trying to placate by, he did not say, "I am Esav." He said, "But I am." I could see Jacob trying to do that, but that doesn't justify his actions. Once again, in my humble opinion. And he came closer, and he kissed him, and he smelled the fragrance of his garments, and he blessed him, and he said, "Behold, the fragrance of my son is like the fragrance of a field, which the Lord has blessed." He smelled. So is it not so that there is no odor more offensive than that of a washed goat skin? But this teaches us that the fragrance of the Garden of Eden entered with him. Is like the fragrance of a field which the Lord has blessed, for he gave it a pleasant fragrance, and this is a field of apples. So did our sages explain it. I'm, I guess maybe once again trying to be a little bit more pragmatic. Is it smelled like a goat skin, a washed goat skin, and that was very common smell for Esav because he would be around wild animal, wild goat. And so therefore he knew him by that fragrance, and therefore it confirmed in his mind that it was Esav. Might get some flack for that one, but that's how I'm seeing it. "And may the Lord give you of the dew of the heavens and of the fatness of the earth and abundance of grain and wine." I really tried to figure this whole line out because it seems extremely important. One thing in this is, and may the Lord give you, may he give and repeatedly give, according to the simple meaning, it refers back to the previous topic. "Look, the fragrance of my son, which God has given him, is like the fragrance of a field, and furthermore, he may give you of the dew of heavens." Sure, of the dew of heavens. It is to be interpreted according to its simple meaning, and there are midrashic interpretations of many kinds. Another explanation, what is the meaning of this, i.e., why is the divine name, which signifies God's attribute of justice, used here, to teach that he will treat you with justice if you deserve it. he will give to you, and if not, he will not give to you. But to Esav he said, the fat places of the earth shall be your dwelling place, whether righteous or wicked, he will give it to you. And from him, Isaac, Solomon learned when he built the temple. He arranged his prayer, saying that an Israelite who has faith and justifies the divine decree upon himself will not complain about you. Therefore, 1 Kings 8:39, and give to every man Israelite according to his ways, for you know what is in his heart. But a Gentile lacks faith. Therefore, Solomon said, you shall hear in heaven, etc., and do according to all that the stranger calls upon you for. An example, whether he is deserving or undeserving, give to him so that he should not complain about you. This is found in an old and correct edition of Rashi. There's a whole lot there. So apparently the word Elohim is used here, not just in the may the Lord give you, but in the dew of the heavens, signifying that the dew of the heavens is more along the lines of God's justice, his provision, and of the fatness of the earth. It goes on to say that the fatness of the earth is kind of like a location. I don't know exactly how to read into that. I think that this is just provision, once again, that you will be abundant, and an abundance of grain and wine. So in a very literal way, I guess you could say, of the dew of heavens is if you are acting accordingly, God will provide moisture to the land, which is critical, and of the fatness of the earth and abundance of grain and wine. So because of the dew, you will gain, the fatness of the earth, meaning animals will thrive, and the abundance of grain and wine. So in a very literal sense, I could say that. In a metaphorical sense, I guess I could say the dew of heavens is something along the lines of justice, according to God. Fatness of the earth is a location, and abundance of grain and wine. I couldn't find anything, so I wouldn't lean on that one too heavily, because I feel like I'm reaching just a little bit. However, moving on. Nations shall serve you, and kingdoms shall bow down to you. You shall be a master over your brothers, and your mother's sons shall bow down to you. Those who curse you shall be cursed, and those who bless you shall be blessed. Numbers 24. So your mother's son, but Jacob said to Judith, Jacob speaking, to Judah, this is, future. Your father's sons, because he, Jacob, had sons from many mothers, but here, since he, Yitzhak, had married only one wife, he said, your mother's sons. Confusing because it says right there, master over your brothers. Why would it have to have that second addition? Not sure. I'm sure that there's probably something that is being presented here. Those who curse you shall be cursed, and those who bless you shall be blessed. But concerning Balaam, in Numbers 24:9, those who bless you shall be blessed, and those who curse you shall be cursed. The reason for this is that for the righteous, their beginning is suffering, and their end is tranquility, and those who curse them and cause them pain precede those who bless them. Yitzhak therefore mentioned the curse of those who curse before the blessing of those who bless. As for the wicked, however, their beginning is tranquility, and their end is suffering. Balaam therefore mentioned the blessings before the curse. Yeah, sequence of events, I guess. Those who curse you shall be cursed, and those who bless you shall be blessed. I think this is just a very practical way would just simply be, I hope he is hoping that in the future, those who curse you are, taken care of, and those who bless you are blessed and taken care of accordingly. And it came to pass when Yitzhak had finished blessing Jacob, and it came to pass Jacob had just left his father's Yitzhak's presence, that his brother Esau came from his hunt. So here it had just left this point of transition, if you will. What it's really meaning is they're almost passing by each other simultaneously. There's something about the tent and how it's always open, but the doors were folded, and there's a whole lot of background to this. However, the key takeaway to it is essentially they almost pass each other in the doorway. But because there's no technical doorway in these tents, it doesn't operate in the way that we would in a typical building. So just know that it came to pass when Yitzhak had finished blessing Jacob, and it came to pass Jacob had just left his father's Yitzhak's presence, that his brother Esau came from his hunt. So that time frame. 33, and Yitzhak shuddered a great shudder, and he said, "Who then is the one who hunted game and brought it to me, and I ate of everything while you had not yet come, and I blessed him? He too shall be blessed." Yeah, so this was a wild adventure about Yitzhak shuddering, an expression of bewilderment. According to Midrash, however, he actually shuddered because he saw Gehenna open beneath him. So he saw the pits of hell open up beneath him, and so therefore he shuddered at the cause. I think he's shuddering because he knows he screwed up. Who then, because then he goes on to say, who then is an expression by itself, which has many usages. Another explanation is a combination of where and here. Who is he and where is he? Who hunted game? Yeah, the line of questioning. It's just, who was this? Like, what exactly happened? Almost a bewildered, that shuddering is almost a bewilderment. And I ate of everything. Any flavors I wished to taste, I tasted in it. Yeah. Oh, goes back to my earlier argument. If he was tasting it exactly, then it's kind of confusing that he ate goats, assuming that it was venison. Or, I mean, his wife's a great cook and can convert the flavors of goat into venison. However, passing that, he too shall be blessed. That you should not say that had Jacob not deceived his father, he would not have received the blessing. Therefore, he concurred and blessed him intentionally. Yeah, kind of hard to read that one into this. Essentially, what it's saying is that there was intent, that somehow Yitzhak wanted to bless Jacob, but was it's hard for me to see that one. And he said, "Your brother came with cunning and took your blessing with cleverness." So deception, in my opinion. And he said, "Is it for this reason that he was named Jacob?" So this is Esau speaking, and he says, "Is it for this reason that he was named Jacob? For he has deceived me twice. He took my birthright, and behold, now he has taken my blessing." And he said, "Have you not received a blessing for me?" Yeah, that's an interesting line. And he said, "Is it for this reason that he was named Jacob?" And it is an expression denoting the interrogative. Is it because you are my kinsman? Was he named Jacob because of the future? Because he was destined to deceive me? Midrash Tanchuma asks, why did Yitzhak shudder? He said, "Perhaps I am guilty of an iniquity, for I have blessed the younger son before the older one, and thus altered the order of the relationship." Thereupon Esau started crying. "He has already deceived me twice." His father said to him, "What did he do to you?" He replied, "He took my birthright." Yitzhak said, "That is why I was troubled and shuddered, for I was afraid that perhaps I had transgressed the line of strict justice. But now that I know that, I actually bless the firstborn. He too shall be blessed." Yeah. A lot of legal speak in my trying to answer for these thoughts. And he said, "Is it for this reason that his name?" I mean, he's asking. He was named this. Was that strictly because he took both my birthright and my blessing? And then he ends it with, "Have you not reserved a blessing for me?" This is a great question, and why I was like, "Oh, that's an interesting thing," because assumably after his birthright was taken, Jacob would probably have mentioned that, like, my brother gave it to me. I mean, at least in like a boastful way, maybe, possibly not. But even not for that, he would have probably brought it up with his dad, and said that all things were in order, and Esav gave me the blessing. So, yeah, it would be interesting to know whether that did or did not transpire, because then this question would be very profound because Esau would be looking at his father saying, well, since you knew, have you not reserved a blessing for me? Anyways, for he had deceived me to be explained according to the Targum, meaning, and he lay in wait for me, and he lies in wait, is translated by Targum. Others read in Targum, meaning he outwitted me. There's these two concepts of laying in wait, but outwitting me, which is, there's so much behind this that I read about this, but we'll move forward. Throwing rocks is included in that. So reserved, an expression of separation. So just separated. Did you reserve something for me? And Yitzhak answered and said to Esav, behold, I made him a master over you, and I gave him all his brothers as servants, and I have sustained him with corn and wine. So for you then, what shall I do, my son? Behold, a master, this is a seventh blessing given to Jacob, and yet he puts it first. Rather, he said to him, what use will a blessing be to you if you acquire property? It will be his, for I have made him a master over you, and whatever a slave acquires belongs to his master. So for you then, what shall I do? Where will I seek for something to do for you? Placing. That's all simply just placing things on how the blessing worked, the justice of the blessing. Esau said to his father, have you but one blessing, my father? Bless me too, my father. Esau raised his voice and wept. Have you but one blessing? Indicates an interrogative expression, as in Numbers 13:19. Are they in open cities? Is it fat? 2 Samuel, and that would be another argument for me to say that just the provisions earlier on in the commentary there. 2 Samuel 3:33, should Abner die like the death of a wicked man? Just the hay in this. Trying to learn Hebrew, slow process, very slow process. I wish I was able to do it right now, so I would feel a little bit more justified in what I'm doing. But moving on, he's just asking, do you have anything? And his father Yitzhak answered and said to him, behold, your dwelling place shall be the fat place of the earth, and of the dew of the heaven from above. Behold, the fat places of the earth. They present this to being Italy belonging to Greece, possibly, because their argument is the Esau begets Rome. One way to look at it. And you shall live by your sword, and you shall serve your brother, and it will be when you grieve that you will break his yoke off your neck. And by your sword is the same as by your sword sometimes takes the place of the letter Beth. Yet there's a whole lot going on here, but it's essentially saying that this Beth is not there, essentially in the phrasing, but it means by your sword. And it will be when you grieve is an expression of pain. So like we read, 40? Like we read in the King James, though, it does not say it in that way. It says, by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Very different expression here. Which, not sure what to take from it. I would say that what dominion first? That seems almost calling for the use of the strong arm, the sword, whereas this is more along the lines of when you grieve that you will break his yoke off your neck, which would be the opposite concept. It would be like, instead of fighting, instead of going after this thing, it would be better for you to just grieve, and then you will have the yoke of your younger brother off of you. Which, personally, I think kind of is a little bit more in line with a lot of the New Testament stuff, in my opinion, but neither here nor there. And it will be when you grieve is an expression of pain, as I was saying. I will lament in my speech when the Israelites will transgress the Torah, and you will have cause to grieve about the blessings that he took. You will break his yoke. Trying to explain what he is grieving about. I think he's saying it's in here. he may be just speaking strictly currently. That if you live by this, if you go after this, then it will not be good for you. But like I'll just leave it at that. That if you go after living by the sword and such, it will cause more problems. But if you just let this happen, then it will be better for you. And Esau hated Jacob. Jacob, because of the blessing that his father had blessed him, and Esau said to him, "Let the days of mourning for my father draw near. I will then kill my brother Jacob." Let the days of mourning for my father draw near. This is, I would kind of like an idiom, as its apparent meaning that I should not grieve my father. There are various midrashic explanations. Yeah, I think let the days of mourning for my father draw near is kind of like Esau saying, if my dad's not around, it will be better for him because I'm about to do something to his other son. There's another interesting piece to this, and I'm just going to hit it real shortly because, we're already coming close to that 50-minute mark. Just as a heads up, this word here, Satan, is used twice, but the primary use of it here is to hate, oppose oneself to, bear a grudge, retain animosity against, cherish animosity against. What I'm trying to get to is this Satan is very close to another word that we use for the one who accuses. So there's also another piece to this that that was the same thing that was going on with somebody else in chapter 4 that led to exactly what he's calling for here. So just bear in mind that I go over quite a bit in chapter 4, but the intent of the heart and what God says to Cain is, why are you this way? Sin lies at your doorstep, which is interesting because he was saying that Jacob was lying in wait for him. So very, very interesting twist in a lot of this. So, but back to this. Let the days of my mourning for my father draw near. I don't even know if it's what it says in the 41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will slay my brother Jacob. See, this doesn't even give us that sense of desiring it. And it says that the Midrashic explains this, that I should not grieve my father. Anyways, so moving to 42, and Rebekah was told of the words of Esau, her eldest son, and Rebekah was told of. She was told by divine inspiration what Esau was thinking in his heart. Or it was said out loud, and I mean, I'm not so sure. I don't know exactly the transaction, so it's possible that it was done by divine inspiration. And then if we went really deep into this thing, we would say that Shem at this time frame was able to divine this, but she was also considered a priestess, so it's possible that she intercessed with the Lord and found this out. We don't rightly know, however, it does say that he said to himself. So this is an interesting transaction here. Regrets. So, behold, your brother Esau regrets his relationship to you and wishes to kill you. He regrets the brotherly relationship to consider other than brotherly thoughts, to have behavior towards you as a stranger. However, the Midrash, this Rabbah 67:9, however, explains it is as an expression of consolation. In his eyes, you are already dead. He has drunk a cup of consolation, a cup of wine customarily drunk in the house of mourning over you. But according to its simple meaning, it is an expression of consolation. By killing you, he consoles himself about losing the blessings. This consolation. Yeah, Maybe. I'm not sure which one I would lean towards. I think he is possibly unconsolable at this moment about what's going on, but and angry. So she sends her son off, and this few days here, you shall dwell with him for a few days until your brother's wrath has subsided, is just a few. I did read, however, that at one point this could mean 7 years, because the phrase is the same that's used for Jacob to get his first wife. But it is translated as you shall dwell with him for a few days. So until your brother's rage subsides from you and he forgets what you did to him, I will send and bring you from there. Why should I be bereft of both of you on one day? Why should I be bereft? I will be bereft of both of you. This teaches that one who buries his children is called bereft, and so concerning Jacob it is said, as I am bereft, I shall be bereft of both of you. If he rises up against you and you kill him, his sons will rise up and kill you. And the divine spirits poured itself upon her, and she prophesied that they would die on the same day as is delineated in the chapter entitled the following. Yeah, I think that if anything does happen, this is a wise moment, to let his brother cool down. I don't know if it's going to take just a couple days, or a few days, but it is wise. And she's probably wise to say that she would lose both of them, because if anything did happen between the two of them, then something is going to happen, and it's his sons or Shem or whatever type of counsel is held. So there's a bit of wisdom in this statement. And then finally, to cap this all off and to really put a feather in the cap of my argument about Rebekah and her feelings towards Esav's wives, says to Isaac and Yitzhak at the end, I am disgusted with my life because of the daughters of Keth. If Jacob takes a wife of the daughters of Keth like these, from the daughters of the land, of what use is life to me? There's some really weird commentary here about spittle and hitting it, and I know that sounds really crazy. Anyways, the whole point of this, though, is sorry to keep on peeking there on my mic. The whole point of this is that, in my opinion, she does not like this. She is not fond of this, and she is saying that if Jacob does the same thing, what is my life? But the craziest part of this is, she says, like these. In the commentary, it kind of points out that she is in front of them. This is said not just whimsically to Yitzhak. It's like they're all there except for Jacob, obviously. I am disgusted with my life. It just literally means I am disgusted with it. But yeah, that this one, there's a lot more, and I probably missed a whole bunch, and I'm sure I probably misunderstood a couple things. Just reading through this, I would feel my eyes kind of glazing over some of the Rabbah. Not that it's totally boring, but some of it's just hard to read. But not complaining, just simply saying that there's just a lot on this one, a lot more than there have been in the past, and maybe I just didn't dive as deeply. But hopefully this was good. Hopefully it gives you a little bit of a different perspective on some of the things that are written in here. I'm trying to find a really good one. Just as an example, there is this concept of the smell of him. Actually was supposed they think that the smell was of the Garden of Eden instead of simply the smell of a goat, a washed goat skin. There is also living by the sword, you die by the sword. There is a whole lot of connections within this chapter, so I highly encourage you to take what I've said with a grain of salt, but maybe it will give you a little bit more to go off of in this chapter here. with the concept of the duo of heavens. I don't know. Anyways, I hope this was good. Thank you for listening all the way to the end, and hope to see you next time.